All right, tell me the best piece of advice you've received in real estate.
God, put your name on everything. Make it a brand and make it a logo. That's the best advice, and I've carried it all the way through, and it's really held me. It's still paying off, to this day. So it's one of the first things I've ever established, and one of the best advices ever was like brand and market yourself, your name, and keep it consistent.
Yeah, don't be a secret realtor.
Don't be a secret realtor. Don't have different identities with all these different logos that keep changing. Be consistent. Yeah.
I love that. And worst piece of advice you ever received in real
Worst
estate?
piece of advice was you can only pick up clients through your sphere. And it is so not true because my whole team wouldn't exist if that was the case. So we probably work with, I would say 80% of the buyers we work with are complete strangers.
Wow.
Yeah, sellers, it's probably a little bit less, but it's definitely a big portion of our business where, clients are finding us online or through AI, which is pretty cool. When we get that feedback, we've gotten that a few times, so really exciting stuff ahead.
I love that too, because a lot of times people think the only way is through the network. And of course, for a lot of agents, that does kind of be their main source. And a lot of the people we have on the show, that is how they grow. But it's not even as common as most of the people that we have on the show. Like a lot of them are that way, but a lot of them aren't. They have other lead sources. They're constantly getting people that do not know them into their sphere. And so we'll talk about a bit about how you do that today, because a lot of times people listen to our show and they go, I don't have a big network, and I don't, maybe I just moved here, or I just not really comfortable talking to my friends a lot about this. And so we can talk about how you guys get that. But my guest today is a returning guest to our show. She is a friend of mine and one of the top agents here in Chicago. I'm really honored to be her friend. I think she is just one of those lovely, positive forces of this industry. She's a good person, and she has a wonderful team. And she actually just helped my girlfriend's or fiance's now mom actually find a place. So that's how much I like her, and that's how great she is. And her name is Crystal Tran. She is with At Properties Christie's International here in the Chicagoland area. She has the Crystal Tran team, and they are a powerhouse and just some of the nicest people in this business. But I'll tell you more about Crystal. Born and raised here in Chicago, and she earned her Bachelor of Arts in Business and Marketing from Eastern Illinois, and she's a self-taught marketer. She's a website designer, app developer. We could talk about that too. She's the creator of Agent Duty, which is her app. It's a productivity tool designed to help real estate agents work smarter and streamline their day-to-day operations. She leads the Crystal Tran team, which is the powerhouse team of over 20 top producing agents, ranked among At Properties' top 50 teams. Her team holds the number 4 spot here in the Gold Coast, here in Chicago, and is recognized by Real Trends Verified as the number 2 large team in Illinois by sides sold last year, 2024. She's known for innovation, tech-driven marketing strategies that really just get results. She's a certified negotiation expert and luxury collection specialist. She pairs sharp marketing insight with mentorship, helping her team grow into confident, high-performing professionals. And when she's not closing deals or coaching her agents, Crystal is dedicating to supporting nonprofit initiatives across Chicago and the North Shore. Passion for real estate, leadership, and innovation powers a business built on service, results, and impact. Follow her on Instagram. She has a great Instagram account, Crystal Tran Team, and that's CrystalTran Team. And we'll have a link to that for her Instagram. And also find her website, which is crystaltranteam.com as well. And you can really learn about their mission and their values and how they treat agents, and also their branding. I think their branding is really special and very intentional and very specific and very clean. And I like it aesthetically. I like it. So Crystal, welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much, DJ. So excited to always get on a call with you and chit chat about, what's happening in the real estate space. I love
Well,
it.
we had to postpone our last one because we mistakenly scheduled it while I was on this vacation, and I was in the process of getting engaged, and so I miscommunicated that to my my booker, and we had to reschedule, and we had to explain why. And you sent a very nice note, and so thank you for wishing me well ahead of the
That's so cool.
proposal.
I like, it was just cool. I had this inside information. Like, not too many people know that you're going to propose, and I was so privileged to feel like I was one of the first to know. So I was
Well,
just waiting for the announcement.
yeah, yeah, and so now we just have only about a million more things to do to get ready for it, but we're almost there. I was telling Crystal ahead of time, we got lucky and got a lot of things pre-planned, which just kind of worked out, and so we did the things a little bit out of order, not by choice, but it worked out that way. And the proposal was actually about the last thing that we had to do, but it worked out really well. And then now we can tell everybody and say, oh, by the way, we have all this stuff planned, and you know, you can just kind of cruise into it next year. So anyway, let's talk about you. So I want to hear about you know, maybe we've been on our show before, but you know, gosh, probably hundreds of episodes ago is when you first came on, and certainly we get new people listening every episode. We have brand new listeners, so I want to hear a little bit about your story. Like, tell us, because you didn't start on a team, or you didn't start as a Crystal Tran team, but tell
Yeah.
us how you got into real estate and sort of how you grew and how you built your own team.
Yeah. So I think in 2012, I was living out in LA, and I decided to get licensed out in California. Worked for a top producer for Remax and really helped him handle his short sale files. So that was, bottom of the market, 2012, 2013. So my first experience was a California agent, and it's definitely, when you're short selling really nice, beautiful homes, it's definitely it's a fun experience still, with this extra layer of the market that I was really happy that I had the opportunity to learn right away. Because there's some agents that get into this industry and they never know what a down market is.
Yeah.
They only know up. So I started in a down market, and so I decided that LA wasn't for me, and I returned back home and went back to the block that I knew, which was in downtown Winnetka. I had worked on that block for a very long time as a hairstylist at a place called Scissors Edge Salon that's still there today. I spent about 13 years there, and just I loved, the creativity of being a stylist and working with people and having clients. That concept of being able to build these relationships was cool. So real estate was just like an instant kind of pull for me. So I started out at Koenig and Stray in the Winnetka office, which was, fun fact, the office that was in the Ferris Bueller movie.
Oh,
The
Jeannie
mo-
Bueller. That was her.
yeah,
That's funny.
yeah, so now they've closed that office. So I've been, probably like 2, 3 years ago, moved over to so I was really at Koenig and Stray, Berkshire Hathaway, Koenig Rubloff for a good 10 years of my career. And that's really, like, I think after year 5, my sister had reached out to me and she said, "Hey, my friend Natasha, she's getting licensed. She just wants to kind of assist and get involved a little bit. Would you be open to letting her shadow you?" So I brought Natasha Kassam on as my assistant, and she got licensed. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, we're a team now. So the team got developed kind of accidentally. And then probably a year later, my friend Selma, who I had known probably since I was 18, reached out and said, "Hey, I really resonate with your brand, what you're doing, and I want to be a part of your team. Would you bring me on and coach me?" And so she was my second hire. Those two are still with me till today, 8 years later. And so, when I became like, when I started my team, I wasn't like this crazy top producer. I didn't have huge amounts of, leads coming in and clientele. I just was willing to show them what I had known, and they were starting to develop their own business. And so, with them helping me and giving me more time to work on the brand, build the social media, build the marketing, because it takes a lot of time. So really that's how we got started, was like by accident. And now we're a team of, I believe we're about 22,
Wow.
22 agents right now. Yeah.
Wow. And still growing.
Still growing. Yes, very much still growing. We really, I mean, our goal, I think, by the end of 2026 is to be a team of 30, if not
Wow.
more. So we feel very confident in, the pace that we're moving at. Even with 22 agents right now, everyone's not fully involved, but it's manageable. I have an ops manager where everyone's feeling attended to. We have systems in place, and um, there's a lot of great positive points on why somebody would join our team. Than to be a solo agent. I have had agents who have started out solo and joined our team. Who have come from other teams, or agents that have done it for a long time on their own and just have said, I've had enough. I
Yeah.
can't do this anymore. The one man show is really hard,
Yeah.
and it's hard to constantly remotivate yourself all the time.
Yes, I
Yeah.
boy, that is not that is such a truth, because you do have to wear every hat, and you just aren't going to be good at everything, right? Like the skills are just too different, right? So there's the skills of interpersonal skills of working with clients and meeting their needs, and being emotionally meeting their needs, and being really good at the job, and then doing all the sort of operational stuff when it comes to numbers and metrics, and understanding just how the job works, and also just all the compliance, and it's just so many different skills that people aren't going to be skilled in all of that, and it's certainly tough to be a solo agent, I think, these days. And then solo agents are competing with teams, and I think that's tough too, because teams have kind of figured out their strength in numbers, and your team is an example of that. And you do something very unique. Well, actually, before we talk about your team, I want to talk about your brand, and then I want to get to your team, because I always will forget to talk about this on the show. Is you're a brand person. Tell me, when you think of your brand, what comes to mind? Like, what are the characteristics of your brand that you sort of want your clients to think about when they think about you?
Professional. That's definitely number one. Systematic. Something about, it's the logo is very crisp, clean, but has like a creative side to it, right? With some color, a little cursive, but for the most part, it's very balanced. A lot of harmony to it, right? Because that is, it really just embodies us overall, like the professionalism, how systematic we are, and bringing that harmony to a sale, right? Because it's like you kind of have to be all these different moving parts, right? You got to be authoritative to, a client when they're not listening to you or not really understanding the market, but then you have to be the tough guy when it comes to negotiating, and then you got to be the soft one when, it's something a little bit more of a touchy reason on why they're selling, whether there's a divorce or a family death, then you've really got to embody all these parts. But I really think that, our logo is like very a strategic look, and people instantly recognize it, and they'll just
Yeah.
say, oh yeah. And the hard part is I always have this marketing friend who's always trying to get me to change my logo. He's like, you got to modernize it. And I'm having a hard time letting go of it, because to me, I think it's great, but um, yeah, I don't think I want to change it anytime soon, but I totally get, all this modernization of, you always have to evolve in this industry. And it's the same thing with brands and logos too, right? A reborn of your brand, a reborn of, maybe that look has changed now. Maybe we're a little bit more edgy. Maybe we service a different kind of clientele, but I would say our brand really exemplifies like luxury is when you see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Luxury for sure. And I also think there's some, I don't know, it comes across in knowing you personally and your team personally, is there's, and I think this comes through in the aesthetic, is there's a kindness to your team. I think that goes a long way, and is really not talked about enough, I think, in this business, where kindness and compassion and being just a nice, good person goes a really long way, and allows for agents to be a bit imperfect, right? If you're make mistakes, which we all do, if you're also like a really nice, good person, the clients usually are pretty forgiving. But I think like you're just a solid, nice person, and your team's very sweet and nice, and they're also very aggressive, and very intentional, and they're very professional. I think that kindness and compassion, though, really goes a long way, and people, when they think about your brand, I think there's a smile that maybe people have about it, and I think that isn't maybe everybody's brand, and I think that probably serves you
I
well.
agree. Yeah, I could totally agree with that because it's like there's some agents out there that will never smile in their profile photo, and when you meet them, they don't smile, and there's no brightness to them. They're not shiny. They're very dark. They're very dull. They're very, and for us, it's like the reason why, we're just not nice to be nice, but we're really like, we really want to understand what's going on, like what's going on in their lives. And a lot of the times, like there's something bigger going on than just making a move. And if you want someone to open up to you, you really have to be, just you have to be inviting. You have to be a warm smile. Like if people don't get a chance to open up to you, then you really don't get to the bottom of what's driving the sale.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times, when we're buying and selling, it's very emotional.
Oh, sure.
So it allows us to connect with our clients a lot more, and it really helps us, fine tune the process of, hey, where do we need to be a little bit more sensitive? Where do we, who needs to be involved? But I think when we stay focused on that, it really takes us through the transaction and makes the service, really top tier service, because we're not worried about the commission. We're not worried about, are they going to be pre-approved for this or that? We're worried about what's happening in their lives.
Yeah.
And we're able to connect with them a lot more. And then it really doesn't seem transactional, and that's when we're winning and the client is winning. As long as the client is winning, we're winning. So it really helps.
Yeah, and there's people that come through. We always think about, home buyers that are choosing to buy, but then there's people who going through divorce or people that are going through a death and they have to move. There's something that's forcing them to make this transaction, and it might not be something they necessarily are super thrilled to be going through while they're doing this very difficult task of buying or selling a property. And so I think you're right. Like there's that sensitivity of like, hey, the agents that or the clients that we have that are going through a tougher life moment, like we can still be there and give them, an extra layer of attention or, sort of kindness that really will help them. And then those people are become so grateful. I think the people that are having a hard time going through this with a team that really is kind to them with their circumstance, so that they're going to tell everybody about you, right? Like I was going through a
Yeah.
rough patch. I had to do this thing. And the Crystal Tran team like really helped me through that. And certainly the people that are the estate planning attorneys, the divorce attorneys, the ones who have to deal with these sort of situations and refer agents, they love agents like you and your team,
Oh, yeah.
because you guys are really kind and compassionate. So anyway, but let's talk about your team, because I think in addition to your brand, I think what you actually offer your team is quite compelling, and there aren't a lot of teams that are able to offer what you offer. And I think there's something very special about the what attracts agents to your team. And yes, you're going to teach somebody how to build their business organically. Of course, that's a huge part of your business. But you said it earlier that 80% of the business really is coming from other sources. And so you have what again to me is such an attractive, compelling answer to an agent that maybe their strong suit isn't getting out there and doing lead generation or reaching out to people and meeting people. Like maybe they're more introverted, or maybe they're just like, it's just not what they're good at. They're good at running the numbers or doing other things in the business. And, you have to just get out and meet a lot of people. And you've sort of helped solve for that for agents that are either newer or not newer necessarily. You said you have agents that have been doing this a long time who join your team and really are looking for some other lead opportunities. And you sort of have that. And I think, that's something I'd love to talk about. So talk to us about sort of, what you provide for your team that is unique.
Well, I mean, every year we're constantly leveling up. So I would say our systems are pretty, we're pretty like heavily tech stacked right now. So if an agent coming in, they're getting access to Follow Up Boss, which is an amazing platform, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. It's a very dynamic system, so it does a lot. We have YLOPO, which is like a forced registration website that the agents can appear on every single listing page. So if they, want to market a property, then if someone clicks on the link, then they could see the agent on that page rather than somebody else. So each agent has their own custom, website. We have Maverick, which is a really cool tool. It's one of a new platform that we're that's integrated into Follow Up Boss, but it's an AI system that allows your team to practice do practice calls, right?
Yeah.
Getting the rejection, getting the mad seller, getting the disconcerted buyer, how to, give your pitch and get feedback, and give some feedback about where they can make some improvements, and, maybe using some rephrasing sentences for them. Instead of saying this, try saying this, right? And so with that, you're getting a lot of guidance, because I think when you start as a realtor, you're getting so many things thrown at you, and it's almost impossible to stay on top of like what's really important, what's really going to move the needle. You see where my head is at. But it's just a lot going at you, and you're kind of like your own CEO going, well, hey, you're building a business today. What do you want to build it out of?
Yeah.
Sticks, paper, and it's like
Right.
you get all these options, and like you just don't know. You could go down like this long road of something where you're just like fully invested, and then a year later come to find out it wasn't a good investment, it wasn't a great way to invest your time. So like we have systems, very well put systems in place, and training to help the agents stay focused on what they should stay focused on, which is really growing their brand and marketing. And I know when people say marketing, it just sounds like this one word that is such a blanket of everything, but like marketing just encompasses so many things. Visually, how people perceive you in person, your marketing brochures, your online presence, your headshot, your bios. There's just so much. Are you posting videos? Are you using, very like are using ChatGPT
Right.
is part of it, right? Because that's really moving the needle now. So we just have all these systems in place, and we really have them on like the right track. Because sometimes, again, they'll come in, they'll spin their wheels for like 6 hours a day going, oh, I had such a busy day. And we're like, okay, well, what'd you do? Well, that didn't make you any money. And that's really, not a good, a good use of your time. Right. So let's refocus you on what's really important. And like, even though it might be hair pulling, just know that if you get this done, it's going to help move the needle for you, and that you're not wasting time in other places and doing, having lunches with 30 lenders a year, right? That's not helping you, right? So your time is, so we're teaching them a lot about those things, right? Like time management, the CRMs, and really getting them prepped to the point where we feel comfortable with giving them lead flow. So we have two kinds of, a few different kinds of lead flow. We'll have renter luxury leasing lead flow. We'll have buyers, and we have sellers. The most ones we have are probably the buyers and renters. But this year was a very challenging year with rentals. The highest prices we've seen in a very long time in Chicago for rentals, and so I think there's that pent up demand from people either renewing their lease and they don't want to move, because they don't, they maybe thought they wanted to buy, but the rates are too high, so they're staying put. But going back around to the agent, it's like we're giving them all the tools, and only the ones that they should use in their
Yeah.
toolbox.
We
And
should mention. I'm sorry to interrupt. I was going to say we should mention that a lot of the tools you mentioned are tools you provide. These are tools that you pay for your team. They're not necessarily provided by your brokerage, who, by the way, is one of the very best brokerages, if not the very best, perceived brokerage brand here in Chicago, who has unbelievable tools of their own, and
yeah,
yet you've gone out and purchased additional tools. And when I think about the tools you mentioned, and I know the prices of those tools, and they are very expensive. And so another reason to consider joining a team, in addition to all the coaching and the training, and we're going to help you sort of figure out what to do every day, is just getting access to some of these tools. Because we have a great tool set here at our company as well. I mean, we really do. And very few of our agents really take advantage of it, and we think it's great. And the agents, some of them use it, a lot of them don't. And you're a team that you guys are boots on the ground. Like, you're out there practicing, your team's practicing, what works. And so you're like, well, the company has all these great tools, but we're going to give you this other suite of tools that we know is really unbelievably effective. And I
yeah.
think that's also something that is kind of unique that you provide, is these additional resources that maybe their firm already has a bunch of tools, but they don't use them, or maybe they're not very good, and then you're able to bring in this additional suite.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a game changer for us and has positioned us in a way that we have so much more to offer the agent. Even more stuff to offer the agent, which is exciting. And it really gives me like as you know, being able to get like an bird's eye view of what's happening with the team.
Right.
How many clients are we working with? How many leads are coming in? Who's talking to who? Who's on leaderboard? Are the agents putting in more calls this week? Are they not? Right? Because before I had no idea. I'd give someone a lead, I'd pray for them and say, hope you get it closed. Let me know when it closes. And now I could actually follow up and I could say, hey, I've given you 5 of these leads. What's going on with them? I see that you haven't followed up, right? So there's a little bit more accountability on the team. And for someone that has a lot of lead flows, because we have buyer and seller leads from we're a Zillow Flex team. So that's obviously our biggest lead flow. And then we have Hunt Chicago, which is the primary website. Crystal Tran team is our Ylopo website. So two different kind of websites. Hunt Chicago, you would probably find through like an organic search. Crystal Tran team is something that you would probably find on our Instagram page, or if we're marketing a property, we generally push that website out because it's forced registration.
Yep.
So is Hunt Chicago, but I think the Crystal Tran team website has a better IDX. So it's much more user friendly. And it really has like this guided forced registration where it's kind of fun for buyers. Like it's already like predetermined, like 4 answers, like when are you looking to move? 1 month, 2 month, 3 months to 6 months. And they just like going through there and just clicking, clicking, clicking. And so we have agents who are, pulling in a lot of social media leads into Crystal Tran team and then getting that forced registration. And in that forced registration, we're getting so much information about them, whether they need to sell before they buy, whether they've been pre-approved, are they working with an agent, and it's just nice to have all this data on people. And same thing with Follow Up Boss is like, when it's tied to Zillow now, I mean, 85% of the people start their search on Zillow.
Yeah.
So we actually could see their activity. And it's just nice that, like, wow, hey, I could call John and say, hey, John, I just saw you started looking at Des Plaines. Like, what's going on there? We've been looking in Lakeview. Are you thinking about making a switch to the burbs? Right. So it allows us to follow up with a client with more intent. So it just, back in the day, it was like when I started, it was just kind of like this big question mark. You were like praying, okay, I'm going to send out this postcard and pray. I'm going to, like call my friends and pray someone's going to reach out to me. Whereas like with Follow Up Boss, there's a lot more intention of like, hey, we know that they're looking. We know that they've saved properties or shared a link with their friend, right? Which is usually a good sign. If they share a link, it's like, oh, okay, well, they're really interested.
Yeah.
So, and like App Properties is amazing. Don't get me wrong. The reason why I went to App Properties is because they have, the App Properties brand is amazing. Then they, combined with Christie's, which made it like a no-brainer for me, which had the international presence. But they just don't have the CRM that we have. And they don't have, like, App Properties, you get a landing page for a website. But, if someone goes and searches on there, they might not necessarily come back to me.
Right.
They might go back to an App Properties portal where they might give it to the listing agent
Sure.
or so I get a few leads from App Properties, like the website, because maybe someone has like vetted us through Zillow and then went through App Properties to make contact with us. Right. So all of they all matter. Don't get me wrong. They really do all matter. But um, we're just working in a way that's so different than like the rest of the company, which feels kind of cool because not that we want to be different, but because, like things are always changing very quickly in tech and in teams in real estate, as we know. And it's like we have to stay on top of it, right? And it's like, what are the latest, greatest tools that are going to help make our lives easier?
Yeah.
Because
And brokerages, oftentimes big brands like At Properties, they have multi-year relationships with certain tools, and they're not easily able to say we're going to drop this one and switch to another one. And also, half their agents would freak out because they don't have to learn a new system, and so you're able to. It's kind of like the battleship in the bathtub. It's harder to navigate quickly. The tool set's great, but when something better comes along, it's not super easy for them to just swap out of one into another. They've got a lot invested in this existing tool,
yeah,
whereas you can swap in and out of things much more easily, and you can stay a little bit ahead of the curve there. And brokerages we have a brokerage. I know how hard it is for us to switch tools, and you just don't ever want to as a brokerage because it's a huge nightmare. And so you want to just pick the right one, but of course the right one doesn't stay the right one forever.
Yeah.
And so you have this ability to kind of swap in and out. And I wanted to mention one of the tools you mentioned, which is really about skill building. And I think this is a really big, unique value that you provide because I was thinking about this just today because I recruit agents and that's my job. And what I do is it's like really simple. If I want to like increase the number of people I recruit every year, I've kind of like two options. I can increase the number of people I talk to, and or I can increase my skill and when I talk to those people, right? So if I don't increase my skill and I just double the number of people I talk to, I'll probably double the number of people I recruit, but I have to double the number of people I talk to, and that's tough. If I can work on my skill of recruiting and like what, figuring out what people really need in a brokerage, how to communicate that and get more effective that way, then maybe I don't have to meet twice as many people. My close ratio would just go up. And
Right.
the easy thing to do is to meet new people. That's actually easier than building my skill for me because there's 46,000 realtors here in Chicago. I can always meet a new agent.
Right.
I can always meet somebody who I've never met before. And it's easy to meet new agents, or again, I keep saying new, I don't mean new to the business necessarily, but just new to me. And
Mhm.
it's so easy to find that. I have all the agents here, and it's not easy to increase my skill. And you help people do both, but you also help them build their skill. And that is really, really important. It's something that I think many realtors overlook is how do I keep doing those push-ups to get stronger. It's certainly easy to keep posting on social media, creating content, calling your existing clients, and all of that is really important. And then there's this other piece that's like maybe that's not as much fun and it hurts a little bit more and it's just not as like sexy. But this, I'm going to work on the skill and I'm just going to like get hit with these objections and figure out a better way to do it. And AI can help you do that. You've got other tools to help you do that. Can you talk a little bit about that skill building and why it's so important?
Well, the skill building tool is called Maverick, and
Mhm.
it's an extension into Follow Up Boss.
Yep.
But, overcoming objections is the biggest issue that we all have. We usually, first objection, we're dead in the water, it's done, it's over, okay, have a good life, I'll move on, right? And so, that's one level of it, right? Is getting the agents more confident about getting rejected by an AI machine and learning that, and then not being so shocked by it when it happens the first time or not knowing how to respond. And then the other side of it is like pitching your business.
Yeah.
Well, why should I work with you? Well,
Yeah.
what is your system? What do you do? Walk me through the process. What, and then get to the fee. How do you present the fee,
Right.
without getting pushback? And so we're kind of dealing with a lot of those things, right? Whether it's the percentage or they don't want to sign for a year, and it's challenging because like the Zillow Flex leads, they don't know who we are. Like these people
Right.
that don't know who we are, now we have to sign a year agreement. Well, it's definitely a lot easier now that we have the reputation. Because like once you build the marketing, that's when you start to build the reputation. And now because we have such a very long-standing reputation, it's a lot easier for us to build the trust with the client. So, you know, other things you have to learn is like learning how to say no.
Mm,
That's something we coach on. It's like once we get through, just like if you don't improve your skill set, then you're kind of constantly getting the same result.
right.
And if you're not relating to people, then you got to switch how, you have to change up how you're delivering that message. Like, do you have an agent? Oh, has anyone been helping you with your home search? I mean, those two basically say the same thing, but it like one is much softer and
Right.
inviting, whereas the other one is just like, whoa, okay, well, back up. I wouldn't like that question.
Right.
It would make me put my guard up. So it really is, it's like the finesse of like tango dancing with the client, right? You want to be push a little bit to get a reaction out of them, see what they have to say, what their curiosity is, and then rebuttal in a way that's going to actually make them happy.
Yeah.
So my one, like I have a trick that I like to do is if somebody comes in on an appointment and they're like, well, when are you gonna be available to show me these homes? Well, and I'll say, well, yeah, definitely. It's really our priority. Like if a new home pops up in the market, I'll want you to get in the same day. So I took their worry and then amplified it by saying, Well, are you going to be ready on the same day when the house comes up on the market, right? Because I'll want to get you in. How about you? Right. So
Right.
I took that question and I turned it around on them, and it makes them feel like, okay, wow, yeah, like she is more concerned about me showing up
Yeah.
than I am concerned about her showing up. Cause I'm like, properties are moving quickly. When they come on the same day, like we got to go, whether I get you in or someone else gets you in, you got to see the home. Right. So it's kind of an interesting thing. So like we've learned about that a little bit. Right. So like take their worries and really turn it up on its head and like maybe switch it on them.
I've interviewed agents, top agents in the country who will literally say to a client, and this takes some finessing, and it's not something you would want to practice this a lot before you do it. And you guys probably do some version of this, but there's I've talked to agents who will say, when we go to see something, the moment you think I this might be it, are you able to make a decision that day or the next day? Because if not, you are going to lose depending on the situation. If they
Right.
know for sure, like there's no waiting on this deal, and
Yes.
I, as the agent, I'm not doing you a service if I don't know that you're ready to do this, because I'm just going to be spinning not only my own wheels, but I'm going to be wasting your time. And
Right.
and there's a way to sort of explain that's not super like aggressive, but is really sort of to the point, which is
Right.
I need a client that can make a decision, because I want to get you this whatever property, and there's a lot of competition out there. So I think that sort of speaks to what you were saying is, are you going to be available to do showings? When are you going to be available? Like if I call you at 8 a.m., can you get out of work at 1 p.m. to do this? And what days could you do it? And just sort of really understanding like what their level of commitment is. And then you're sort of working as a team, and you both have these agreements with each other, where it's not that you're just placating them, but they're like, no, I'm working with a professional here. I gotta level up as well as the
Yeah.
client. And it's exciting and fun, because then you're both kind of working as hard as you can together and holding each other accountable. And I think that makes it a little bit easier. I also want to go back to something you'd said about working. You talked about, why should I work with you? Having that as an objection, and kind of going back to objections. And that's a really important one to be able to answer. And it's so easy to not practice answering that question if you work mostly by referral. Because if you
Yeah.
work by referral, you probably don't have to answer that question very much, because they're coming through another source that's like, oh my God, Crystal's the best. Don't you're going to want to work with her. They're probably not going to hit you with like, why you and not somebody else? They already know that you're like amazing. But
Yeah.
and it's easy to let that muscle atrophy a little bit and sort of realize like, oh yeah, I'm going to meet people that don't know I'm amazing. And maybe I need to be able to demonstrate that in a 20-second pitch. And I need to
Yeah.
be able to give them some confidence that like, I know what I'm doing. And it's real easy to just not practice that, because it's not the fun thing to practice. It's not
Yeah.
fun to be put on the spot and go, why you and not somebody else? Like, I mean, at least it's not fun for me. I get that all the time too. It's like, why should I join your firm and not the hundreds of other firms out there? And I'm like, that's a great question. Like, that is not an easy question to answer, but I got to practice that question, that answer as well, because it's a totally valid question. And why should I work with you is totally valid. And yet it's an
Absolutely.
easy one just not to focus on and not practice. And
Well,
so,
yeah, and not to have in your back pocket. And
yeah,
like, why? Like, what are your three whys they should work with you? You don't have to
yes,
keep going on and on, but I think it's some of it is like obviously a little bit of, your accomplishments and then obviously what you're going to do for them.
yeah,
And so, you said something about like knowing if the buyer is ready,
yeah,
right? And so, that would be very blunt to say, hey, I want to know that if I'm going to work with you, that you're going to be serious about writing. We would say, hey, buyer burnout is really real. Have you heard
yeah,
of it?
yes,
Like you see 30 homes and like you're done. So I want to make sure that if I'm taking you out, that you're really fully ready because I don't want you to get burned out. I don't want you to just give up on your hopes and dreams of being a homeowner or being an investor. So I want to make sure that when we're going out, it's the right time, you're ready, the money's ready, and we're ready to go.
yep,
Because I don't want you to get tired because it happens very quickly, right? And it's a real
love
thing.
that.
So we definitely, it's another way of delivering it where it's like a little finesse and we're concerned about them, which we are, right? Because for the both of us, like no one will ever wants to be that agent going out for the second year showing a buyer home that you can't, like I remember I did it for I think almost 3 years once. I met a client like every other month and showed them a home for 3 years.
Wow.
It's exhausting. Sometimes you have to do it, but other times some people are just looking, they don't know themselves. So I think getting deep with them and understanding like that true motivation and like whether they do have to or they don't is going to tell you whether they're serious or not.
And learning the sort of methods of communicating this in an elegant way that's not aggressive, and it's respectful, but it's also firm, and it's really really direct. It is in a nice way, I think, is one of the reasons why joining a team can be so helpful, because you have people that have done this for a long time and they know how to answer these questions, and they can drill the other people on the team who are newer, and then you also have tools that will drill you as well.
Yeah.
And so again, there just aren't a lot of tools out there that do that, quite frankly, and so I love that you have that. So by the way, if anyone is listening to this and thinking, gosh, this sounds pretty great, like I would like to improve my lead gen, I'd like to do better on social, I'd like to do better with my skills, and you're like here in the Chicagoland area, and maybe you're on a team and maybe they're not giving you what you feel you deserve, or maybe you're not on a team and you're not getting it from your brokerage, like talk to Crystal, reach out to her. She doesn't take everybody, of course, she doesn't take most people, but think about what value you could bring to her and what you're looking for, and connect with her. And I've sent people over to her. I love when I get a phone call from an agent who's looking for leads, and we just don't have that. And Crystal, of course, isn't going to just like, here's all the leads you need. Obviously, that's not how it works anywhere. But she does have lead sources for you, and if you are willing to be coached and do what she suggests and what the team suggests, and follow what is been proven to be very successful for them, just kind of do what's told of you and what's asked of
Yeah.
you, and like be a good team member, like you will be successful. And so you should reach out to her, and she's incredibly approachable. And Crystal, so if you
Thank
are
you.
somebody who's an agent here, and I should be promoting for my own company, but that is not my intention today. My intention is to celebrate you, and we don't have a lot of the things that you and your team have, and I think that's great. So I'm super excited to have our listeners reach out. And also too, if you're an agent in another state and Chicago is one of your feeder markets, or it's one of the places people go to when they're maybe first in your market and they come here, or they leave here and go there, she needs to connect with agents
Oh
and
yeah.
those relationships as well. And the other thing too is rentals, right? Rentals are a lot of times for agents not in this area. Chicago is a big hub for business, and so people come in, maybe they're only here a year or two, they're just going to be renting, maybe their company's going to pay for it, and these are people that spend 5 to 10 grand a month on, or their companies pay for it, and they're getting a condo, and it's or an apartment that's very expensive, and they really need somebody that understands that luxury market. And Crystal doesn't just work in luxury, but she certainly knows that world. That's also a great reason to reach out to her, because that's a really important thing. And people who are just doing leasing, oftentimes their skill set isn't as developed as somebody who's a luxury brokerage brand like yours. And so that's another reason to reach out. And also too, for people that aren't doing rentals, and rentals are tough, they're not easy, but what a great way to start a relationship with somebody who's
Oh yeah.
almost certainly going to be buying in the future, right? So just,
Or that might buy when they're actually thinking they're going to rent.
yeah.
Because like you might be able to switch them and say, hey, well, these rental prices, they're so high. Well, this is what it looks like to buy. Or maybe, if you're sick and tired of living in these apartment buildings that have thin walls and so many people in them, you're waiting for the elevator. Let's get you into something that feels like home.
I
Right.
want to ask you a couple last final questions about what you tell your team to focus on. And I know, again, there's a million things people can do, and there's not one answer to this question. But
Yeah.
if someone comes to you and they say, "Hey, I am struggling with lead generation," for example. And yes, you can help them with leads that your team has, then you can help distribute. But for their own lead generation, what might you suggest as a way to help them sort of start improving that skill and getting more people in their database?
You know, getting active on social.
Yeah.
Reconnecting with people like friends from high school, old jobs, families, cousins, third cousins, whoever, reconnecting with them. And then obviously posting on social media, because out of sight, out of mind, I think, and social media just it makes it easier for us to have conversations. And in fact, sometimes like we don't even start the conversation about our team or real estate it's someone else mentioning, oh, hey, I see what you're doing on real estate. Oh, so it just helps with that branding and marketing and spreading the message a lot faster, where you don't always have to be the one to do the work. Where if they are thinking about renting or buying or selling, they see a post and they'll say, oh, I should give Sam a call, right? He's really consistent. He's very professional. He's always showing up. And he's got a lot of people that trust him because they like and comment on his post. Same thing on the other side too, right? Like I think the easiest ones are birthdays, anniversaries, selling anniversaries. And then from that layer is like getting into your contact list and just, touching base with people, getting on their radar, asking them for the business, which is the most important part. Like everyone just assumes, oh yeah, he liked my post. He likes every post that I put up there. He's going to call me when he's ready to sell them. It's like, that's not the case. If someone's liking your post, call them and say, hey, I see you liking everything. Thank you so much for the support. Where are
Yeah.
you guys at? Like, I just wanted to reach out and just say thank you and, always appreciate you, like throwing those thumbs up, like what's going on in life, right? So,
That is such a great little mini tip that I don't think anyone has ever shared on this show before, and we have over 700 episodes. You just gave a really great reason to pick up the phone, and we do appreciate when people put the like on or they comment on a post, and it is a reason to reach out and to say, hey, I posted this content. You seem to appreciate it. I just want to let you know I appreciate that it was good, that you liked it, and that it was helpful to you. And I'd just love to learn more about what's going on with you right now. Like
yeah,
and you could also look in their feed as well to see
right.
what's going on in their life and see, I saw you just went on vacation or whatever. But it's a conversation starter. And I don't think anyone has ever in our history of episodes talked about calling people who like a post. I think that is brilliant.
Yeah, it's like taking it all the way home, right? It's like you're
Yeah.
posting something, they're liking it, and then you're going back to them and saying, "Hey, like you're on my radar. Like let's talk. What's going on?" And anyone, I mean, it's just how referrals work, right? It's like you see someone, you run into them in the grocery store, and then a week later they're referring you somebody. It's because they saw you, and so there's just all these layers to it. But I think the most important one, that we still struggle with till today is you get that buyer, you get clients you're running around with, you're showing them homes and they get burnt out. They
Yeah.
stop. Their lives change. And we just leave them in the dark. We
Yeah.
don't ever reach back out and say, hey, I know things got really hard last time. Where are they at? Like I still remember that you wanted to buy this and do that. And I just want to know how can we help you? Right. And just by you having that conversation, whether they want to work with you or they might know someone else that wants to work with you. So I think picking up that ball, because everyone is always ready to like, oh, I got this new lead. They want to go look
Yep.
at houses. Let's look at 30 houses. And then the buyer's like, don't really see anything I like. So I'll reach out to you. Don't call me. I'll reach out to you. And the agents are like, yeah, he said he's going to call me. And then all of a sudden that guy posts a photo that he bought a condo with a different realtor. Right. So it's like, we're going through and doing all that upfront work of educating, driving them around, like telling them all about HOAs and finding out all these questions and answers and running all these comps. And it's like we're doing all that work up front and like literally not bringing it to the finish line.
Well, and
So
I always think too, like you don't, the fortune is in the follow up for sure. And just like we were saying earlier, easier for me to find a whole new list of people I haven't talked to and say, you should check out Gale Realty. We're so
right.
amazing. And instead of going back to the people I've already talked to and say, hey, let's check in. Where are you at in the process? What are you, and for some reason it's more fun for me to go to the new people, and I think that's like you were saying, it's easy to go to the new leads, and going back to those existing leads is really really important. And if we think like, well, we're bothering those people, it's like you're not. And here's the reason, here's how you know you're not. We have technology now that basically makes it that if they do not want to chat with you, they will not pick up the phone. They will
Yeah.
watch the transcription of the voicemail you're leaving in real time now as it's being transcribed by our phones, literally reading it as you're saying it. If they don't want to talk to you, it's not like you're going to catch them off guard and you're going to get them at a bad time and they're going to be like, I'm in the middle of this and I can't really, like, that's just not going to happen anymore. So
Yeah.
when you call them, if they don't answer, it doesn't mean they don't like you, of course, but like, don't worry about it. Like, just leave them a message
Yeah.
and can keep following up, and they're going to appreciate that. I love people that are persistent. And quite frankly, I just don't answer the phone if I don't want to talk to somebody. And it doesn't mean I
Yeah.
don't like them. It just
It's
might mean,
timing.
yeah, it's just timing. So I think that is such a great tip, is just go back to the people that maybe you even drop the ball on, and like that's okay too, to even acknowledge, hey, I feel like maybe I didn't give you enough attention a few months ago, and I want to rebuild the relationship, and maybe you say it in a different way, but there's a way to do that too, and really show that like you want to do better, and meet their needs, and I think that's also super
Well,
super helpful.
and the other side of it, which is like a negative, is like you get a no from the client, right? Oh, I bought something,
Yeah.
oh, I'm not really, but that's great because you get them off your list then. You get them
Yeah.
off your follow-up list.
Yeah.
The agents that are like, oh, I don't want to send a mass email because they're going to unsubscribe. It's like, well, we want them to unsubscribe because if they don't want to get our information, then they got to go, right?
Yeah.
So then you're really purposely working and calling and talking to people that actually want to work and talk to you.
Right.
So it's good to get the no's, so it's like we have to look at it in a positive way and be like, okay, they don't want to work with me, they don't feel like I'm the right person for them, totally fine, get them off the list, I'll stop calling, let me call some other people,
Yeah.
right? So it's not a bad thing. Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, I unsubscribe from every newsletter from any company the moment I'm like, I just don't need the service right now any longer.
Yeah.
And it's not like I don't like you. It's just I don't want that clogging up my inbox. But I know how it can feel to the person seeing the unsubscribe, because we get those
Yes.
as well. And it's almost like you almost have to remember, like, this is we don't have enough information to know if this is a real rejection or not. This could
Yeah.
just be timing. They don't want you in your inbox. It almost doesn't matter if you can just like, for me, I just don't even look at those. I don't want to see them because I
Yeah.
get bummed out, and it gets removed from my database. That person gets put in a different category. We revisit it down the road, and then we figure out if we want to re-engage that person or not. But like, yeah, there's reasons why you really want to protect your if things come in and it doesn't make you feel good, it's like figure out a way to like not see that, but also have a process to where that person is you're not worrying about that person any longer. I think this is really a great place to wrap up. I just kind of have one last question, which is, I think you talk about burnout with clients, and I also think agent burnout is also super
Oh yeah.
super real too. So again, I always think, I don't think balance is possible. I think balance is a myth, but we can get close to it, and we can get close to having a balanced work life, home life, and set boundaries in a healthy way, and be not work too hard where we're burning out. How do you help your agents sort of figure out that balance?
Yeah, I think, going back to burnout, it's really easy for someone on our team to burn out because um, after you're probably on the team for like 2 months, 3 months, you're probably getting access to anywhere from 3 to 5 buyer leads a day,
Wow.
calls. So like you're either picking them up or you're
These are
not. And
live.
so,
These are live transfer phone calls. These are calls
um, they're
that
not
are.
live transfer anymore because now it's like it's connected with showing time because
Oh,
Zillow
gotcha.
owns showing time, and so they can request a time on the website.
Right.
Um,
But they're still directly connected to a client. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's like at the beginning as a new agent, you're like, "Oh my god, opportunity. Yes, I'll take all of them. I'll take all of them." But really in the long run, it's like you shouldn't take all of them. You should actually pace yourself. And you should actually only take, 5 a week. Even though you have access to 25, don't take 20 or 15, take 5. And it might not sound like a lot, but it will be a lot, especially if you have 5 to 7 buyers you're trying to juggle at the same time. And so getting back to that burnout is like going back to knowing when to say no or stop or pause, and knowing yourself. Like if you feel yourself getting burnout, like, hey, take a personal day, get someone to cover your showings. Your clients will understand, right? Like I don't think I've ever lost a client because they were like, oh my god, you had someone else cover the showing, I can't believe that. Like everyone knows that like there's a lot of moving parts. We're trying to accommodate everyone, especially the buyer schedule, seller schedule, and you just have to know yourself a little bit more and to know when you need those pauses in your calendar. So if it's like, hey, every quarter I need to go on a vacation or just need to vegetate at home, do it. Like don't feel guilty. And I think people have to learn how to work smarter because like in real estate, we think we're putting in a 6-hour day, but like 2 of it was like scrolling Instagram and the
Yeah.
other one was like, putzing around, and we call that work, but it's like, why don't we try to work smarter so that we can actually be more productive in a short time frame than to sit at something for such a long time and like give your whole day to it. So it's more about protecting your time, your headspace, your energy.
And I think this is where accountability and coaching comes in. And I think teams, if they're structured correctly, can provide that. They can not only provide sort of, hey, I need help. I need to take a day. Can someone on the team help me, cover some of my responsibilities? Yes. But then there's also like, hey, I've got this problem. I got this thing, the situation. I don't know what to do. The team can help solve that problem. And also, hey, I don't know how to answer this particular question around an objection, that the team can say, hey, here's how I do it. And there's a camaraderie to all of this. And there's also a, hey, I need some help staying accountable. I need some help. Someone needs to call me at 4 p.m. and say, did you make your dials today? And the teams
We
can help
have
do
that.
that. And
Yeah.
again, none of these things are inherently something to feel bad about. You just have to find a solution to it. And, I joke that, and it's not even a joke, but it's something it's a little embarrassing for me to say, but it works, is I have somebody that calls me every morning at 6 a.m. to make sure I'm awake. And, I'm 49 years old. I'd like to say that I don't need that because there's alarms and I have all sorts of other technology to wake me up. And yet I have somebody who calls me at 6 a.m. to make sure. And so what I do is I set my alarm for 5:55 so that the person doesn't have to call me, and I message them at 5:55, say, I'm good. You don't have to call me. But it's a little bit something that I kind of like wish I didn't have to have that, but I do have it. It's accountability and it works. And guess what? I wake up. So it almost doesn't matter like what you need. You just need people that can help solve problems for you, and you can't solve all the problems yourself. And so teams like Crystal's is really great for just help me solve problems.
Yeah.
Whether it's I need more leads, I need to generate my own leads, I need more accountability, I need to increase my skills. Crystal and her team, this is what they do. And if you are somebody that comes in with, here's my challenges, might be a good fit for Crystal and her team, because they might have solutions for you. They are very solutions focused, and they're also just super nice people. So if you are an agent in the Chicagoland area and you're looking to maybe join a team or explore what other teams have to offer, reach out to Crystal. Crystal Tran Team is where you find her on Instagram. CrystalTranTeam.com is where you find her online. And really, she's super easy to find. Just Google her if you have trouble, or reach out to me. I will connect you with her. And she's just one of my favorite people. You can see how intentional and kind and nice and just a professional that she is. And she's a real help to our show. And these are the exact kind of agents that I started this show wanting to know, how do they do that? And so I'm so grateful, Crystal, for you to come on again.
Thank
This
you.
is fun for us. I know our audience appreciated it. And by the way, audience, if you did appreciate this, please help us or help me and tell a friend. Think of one other agent that that could benefit from this episode. Shoot them a link, tell them to listen to it. Would help me out. Check out our sponsors. That helps us as well. And also, on behalf of our audience, thank you to Crystal. On behalf of Crystal and myself, thank you to the audience. We appreciate you, whether you're new or returning. Tell a friend about the episode, as well as I said, and follow us on social. Every couple of days now, I spew a 60-second. We didn't talk about AI, which I know you're a big AI person. I do an AI video. It's 60 seconds or less, where I actually give agents an AI prompt that they can plug right into ChatGPT that will actually help improve their business. I talk about why it works. I explain it within 60 seconds. It's not posted here on our podcast, but it is on our social media accounts. We are on every single platform. Look for the Keeping It Real. Or you can go to, just Google us, find us on whatever platform you're on. You'll find us, and you can see those videos there. And we also do short form episode. We take magic moments of all of our episodes. So this episode, we're going to carve up and find great little moments that Crystal shared, and we're going to put those on our social as well. So check us out on social. If you're listening to us just on audio, you can find us anywhere podcasts are served, and then all the different social media platforms. All right. We will see everybody on the next episode. Crystal, thank you.
Thank you.